It's Tuesday, so that must mean another LEGO review here on Brickscale Studio. Welcome back to Brickscale Studio. My name is Jeff. Thank you so much for joining me on this Thanksgiving week. So last week, Wicked for Good opened. So we have a Wicked set from the new wave of sets that just came out in September. Last year, when the first Wicked movie came out, we did the buildable Glinda and Elphaba figures. Those were pretty cool. This year, we are doing the Emerald City wall art. So let's get into the build, and then we can talk about this colorful set after. All right, here we are with the Emerald City wall art. This is coming out, I think this issued September 1st, 2025, but we are building it today because the second Wicked movie coming out, Wicked for Good, is coming out very soon. And this blends all of our Wicked with Glinda and Elphaba, plus our original Wizard of Oz pals that we know and love. This is set 75685, 1,518 pieces. All right. All right. Here we are. Here's the manual. Let me get this all organized and we will be right back. All right, so there were 15 bags. Specifically, there were 14 numbered bags and then one unnumbered bag that had these plates in it. And then, of course, our manual. So again, I know we've been kind of talking about the paper bag situation with LEGO. So again, this set for me, the manual was in a paper bag, but all of the parts were still in plastic bags. But this does have the QR code to scan so you can get the digital instructions and your 20 insider points. So if we take a look at the manual here, so here's some information about the movie Wicked, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo as Glinda and Elphaba. So here's features of our wall art. We get Shiz University, Emerald City, and Munchkin Land represented on the wall art. There was no sticker sheet, so all of these are printed pieces that we're going to encounter. Very cool. And then we get right into the build. And as you can see, that minifigure, right off the gate, we get Dorothy and Toto. So this is Dorothy from not the 1939 Wizard of Oz classic that we all know and love, but Dorothy from the books. So she has the silver slippers. The ruby slippers were an invention for the movie. In the original books, she had silver shoes. So Dorothy has silver shoes, and we saw those in the first Wicked movie. So here's Dorothy and Toto. And let's get on with bag number 1. Okay, that's the end of bag 1. So we're quickly building up the base here. Just a lot of plates. Interesting, these hanger pieces are different than the Technic ones that we got for other wall art sets. I'm thinking like the Batman and the Beatles and some of those square wall arts, plus the Batwing, we got the hanger, which are different. So these are a new element. Not sure if this is the first set they're included in, but these are definitely different than the ones that I've seen before. All right, so let's move on to bag number 2. Okay, that's the end of bag 2. So again, more plates, very solid base, very much reinforced, very colorful. So let's move on to bag number 3. All right, that's the end of bag number 3. So we got this border section done here. And then now let's move on to bag number 4. All right, so now we add the Scarecrow to the bunch. If you've seen the first movie, he may look familiar, the first Wicked movie. No spoilers here, but now we have Dorothy and the Scarecrow. So let's get into bag number 4. All right, that's the end of bag number 4. So we just keep filling in this section. We got our first printed piece, a winged monkey. So let's continue on with bag number 5. All right, that's the end of bag number 5. So we just continue to build down. We got the border on this upper part here. We got some parts that kind of stick out instead of just tiles and plates. So let's move on to bag number 6. All right, that's the end of bag number 6. So we've got this tower here. I find it interesting that we're kind of covering stuff up. We put in the wizard. So we have the wizard right here. And then over here, we covered up our little flying monkey. But we did get Elphaba. And I really do like this hat hair piece. Very cool. So she is going to hang out right there. All right, so on to bag number 7. All right, that's the end of bag number 7. So again, we have some cool details here. So we have this cool little Glinda and Elphaba printed piece that we have not covered up so far, but I'm sure we will, because this is sort of the same configuration that we had down here with the wizard. So I'm sure in the next step, the next bag or two, we will build something that covers this up. But lots of cool little hidden gems to find and explore. So let's move on to bag number 8. So before we get too deep into bag 8, we have another addition to our cast here. We have the Tin Woodsman, or the Tin Man. So looking very good. We just have the Cowardly Lion next, so hopefully we'll run into that in the next bag or two. So let's get on to bag number 8. All right, that is the end of bag number 9, or bag number 8. So there we go. And yeah, just like I figured, we have a little. We covered up that printed piece there, but all in all, looking pretty good. So let's move on to bag number 9. Alright, that's the end of bag number 9, so we just keep continuing with all of these amazing details. This is looking really great. Like, I just love the 3D aspect of it, how we just build up layers and we keep putting things in front. Looks great. So on to bag 10. Alright, that's the end of bag number 10. So we're working on this section down here, which this is being a little crazy and I don't know why. But there we go. And then this cool little detail in here. Alright, so let's move on to bag 11. All right, that's it for bag 11. So again, we just keep working up on this section here, building this up. So let's get into bag number 12. All right, before we get too far into bag 12, we have the Cowardly Lion. So we have, whoops, Toto took a tumble, but we have all of our Wizard of Oz characters. So let's get into bag 12. All right, that's the end of bag 12. So again, we're just building up, adding more details. On to bag 13. All right, before we get too deep into bag 13, here is Glinda. I believe this is our last minifig. So we'll set her over here and we will get into bag 13. All right, that is the end of bag 13. So one more bag to go, bag 14. All right, that is it for bag number 14. So if we stand this up, so this is the finished wall art, and we can remove this panel, and we can put the Wizard of, or the, the Wizard of Oz minifigs in there. And then we can put Glinda. I'm going to stand this up. All right, and Glinda is in her bubble. But yeah, it's a little precarious unless it's standing straight up. All right, so we'll turn the camera around and do a review. Here is the finished Emerald City wall art. I really liked this set. This is kind of the first one of the sort of 3D art sets that I have done, and I really enjoyed it. It's, I think, very colorful, very indicative of Wicked, like you know exactly what it is. So this is the front. If we turn it around, obviously it is meant to be displayed from the front, so, but we do have a way to hang it on the wall. Or you can see it does sit on a flat surface, so you could put it on a shelf if you chose. So we have sort of represented Shiz University, Emerald City, Munchkin Land, and then of course up here we have Elphaba, and then down here we have Glinda in her bubble. And then if we remove this panel, we have the original Wizard of Oz. But you can see we have Dorothy, Toto, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. Very cool. So they just sort of hide away in there. And then, of course, we have Glinda in her bubble, which also is very tricky to get in and out. But it is a lovely minifig. So there she is. And like I said, it's tricky to get her out. But great minifig. Also, the Elphaba minifig is great. And then also, too, there are little elements sort of hidden away. There is that wizard printed piece and a printed piece of Elphaba and Glinda, and then a winged monkey. And then to aid you in hanging it on the wall, you can remove the balloon and this cloud, and that will expose the hangers, so it will help you out. But yeah, great little build. I really enjoy it. So that is the Emerald City wall art. All right, so that was the Emerald City wall art. Very cool set. Like I mentioned, this is the first one of these types of wall art sets that I've done. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very colorful. I think it captures. You definitely know that you are in the Wicked universe. Definitely captures that feel. The one criticism that I didn't mention in the review, and I'm going to sort of sum it up with a quote from Glinda herself from the new movie in one of her first songs. I couldn't be happier. No, I couldn't be happier. Though it is, I admit, the tiniest bit unlike I anticipated. But I couldn't be happier. Simply couldn't be happier. So the thing that was kind of unlike I anticipated, it was a little smaller than I thought it was going to be. Like when it first came out and I saw the pictures and everything, yeah, I just thought it was going to be a little bit bigger. But having said that, it is still a very cool set. I love all the minifigures you get. You get Glinda, you get Elphaba, plus you get the Fab Four from the Wizard of Oz. You get Dorothy, Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Cowardly Lion, plus Toto too. So all in all, I had a really great time building it. Now I need to find a place to hang it. It will probably be in the studio, and actually I'm thinking it's maybe gonna go like right over there on that wall. So maybe that's where it will go. We shall see. Stay tuned for future videos to see if you can spot it back there. But anyway, like I mentioned earlier, it is Thanksgiving week here in the US. So I hope that you are prepared and getting all that stuff ready to go and you're not running around being stressed out. And I hope you have a wonderful time on Thursday. On Thursday, we will be doing another Titanic video since it is Thursday. Saturday, we're back at the Batmobile, the 1966 classic. And then definitely stay tuned. Next Tuesday, we are doing a new build announcement. You have exactly till the end of today, actually, to vote on the poll for what our next build will be since Optimus Prime is done. So go to the YouTube channel page and go to the posts section, and there is a poll, and you can vote between three sets: the 1989 Batmobile, the Orca from Jaws, or the Enterprise D from Star Trek The Next Generation. So again, you have until midnight tonight, November 25th, to vote, and then we will announce the next build on December 2nd. So also be sure to make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And we are trying to hit some subscriber milestones so we can give away free Lego. It's totally free to hit the subscriber button, and it is totally free to enter the contest to win the free Lego, and I pay for shipping, so everything free. So be sure to hit that button, hit the like button, comment. It really helps. Anything you interact with the channel and the videos, it helps with the algorithm to serve it up to more people. And with that, until we see each other again, happy building, take care, be kind to each other, and I'll see you very soon.